Hello, and welcome to my very first YouTube book review exclusive to the tube. This is going to be a long-form version with spoilers, I guess. Version of my TikTok stuff. If you're here from TikTok, please say hello. If you're here from any other place, please say hello. Those of you who know me, please say hello. Those of you who don't, please say hello. Those of you who might, please say... Anyway, sorry, get carried away. Here on YouTube, when I've got as much time as I want, I can just go crazy. But I'm going to be doing a review on Tender is the Flesh by Augustina Bazterrica. This is a book that I read recently. This is going to be the first book where I do a short-ish review on TikTok and then do kind of a spoiler-heavy review on YouTube. I have very strong feelings about this book, very few of them good, actually none of them good. I thought it would be good to start off this type of thing with a book that I didn't really like so that I can talk about it a lot. I have a lot to say about this book. I'm going to start with a few things that I enjoyed. That way I can get right to the stuff that I didn't like. I'll go ahead and tell you, I rated this book 2 stars on Goodreads. I reserve 1 star for books that I did not finish. Tell me if you think that's right. Maybe that's not right. Maybe I shouldn't rate a book I didn't finish. But I like to at least leave my mark. Hey, my doggo's coming. Hey Angus, say hello to everyone. Say, I love books and being outside. The only problem is he can't go camping with us because he'll run away. You want to say anything to the people? Angus didn't like the book either. Anyway, I have my notes on this little piece of notebook paper, but I'll tell you what I liked about Tender is the Flesh first. Number 1, it is an interesting premise. The premise of this book is that humans are raised like cattle to be eaten in a food crisis. That is interesting to me. I think it could lead to a lot of discussions on the ways of the world. It could definitely be allegorical if you used it that way. It is an interesting premise. What would do if people would be food, right? Interesting question. Second, it's dark and disturbing. I love a book that's dark and disturbing. I don't really like dark and disturbing for its own sake, but I do like a book whenever it makes me go, ooh, makes me feel the chilies. It has become necessary for me to move backwards a little bit. Hopefully I can now be seen a little more clearly. I don't mind cutting pieces of myself off in the frame, especially it fits the theme, cutting pieces of myself off. Haha, I'm very funny. But yes, those were the things. Sorry, dark and, where was I? Dark and disturbing. I don't like dark and disturbing for its own sake, but I am always interested by things that are dark and disturbing. And then finally, it's not too long. It was right over 200 pages. So, if you like it, it's not that long. Or excuse me, if you like it, it's accessible. If you don't like it, you don't have to stick around with it too terribly long. I like a good 200 pager. I can get in, get a story, get out. So that's pretty much all I liked about it, which is sad. Usually I have more good things to say about a book, but that is all I've got. Now it's time for the cons. Let me give you a synopsis of the book and then I'll tell you, I guess, what I didn't like. Maybe I should reorder this, but you can tell me what you like. Maybe synopsis first, then good, bad. If you don't like spoilers, if you want to read this book, now would be the time to jump, because I'm about to spoil this book with a synopsis in 3, 2, 1. Our main character in this book's name is Marcos. I forget his last name, but he is pretty much the right-hand man to the owner of a very big processing plant that processes human meat. Human meat is called special meat in this world. It exists because there was a virus that attacked animals, and animals could pass this virus to humans through ingestion. So humans could no longer eat animals, so all animals were killed, all that could be found, especially all livestock animals. So no more eating meat for food. People are afraid that if birds poop on them, they will die. No contact with animals. Animals, bye-bye. So after that, there was a time where they tried to get, nut proteins, fruit, vegetable proteins, but eventually the government, through propaganda or whatever, says that those aren't sufficient. We got to start eating people. Now, the suspicion that undergirds this whole book is that the virus was never actually real, and that this was all just a ploy to control overpopulation. That theme is not explored very much, except that there are a couple times it is mentioned by a few characters. There is a scene where our main character is witnessing a litter of puppies in a zoo being abused by a group of local teenagers. They couldn't eradicate all animals, obviously, but he's watching these animals get abused, and one of the teenagers is one of the teenagers says, "Oh, it touched you. You're going to die now." And the other teenager's like, "No, Bill, don't you understand? It's all propaganda. The virus was never really real. It's just something they did to control overpopulation." And he explains it to his friend in this very weird ham-fisted way, as if to remind us that that's what some people think, and it could be true. But other than that, there's not a whole lot done with that theme. But our main character, Marcos, is a right-hand man for this plant. We begin the book by being inside of his head a little bit, and he does not like this. He does not like that humans are being eaten. He understands they are people. It makes him sick. It makes him feel unwell. But that's one of the things that supposedly make this character special, because everyone else that we meet in this book is completely sold out to the idea that these humans are just cattle and they're being raised for food. This change comes over the course of one generation. This guy, our main character, when he was a kid, animals were food. By the time he's late childhood, people are food. The transition occurs where people start eating people, and then he grows up kind of in a world where I guess you eat people. But he's this right. He works in this processing plant. He's not into it. He's going on the meat run. I don't know what that means. I guess it means he's taking orders for meat, seeing what all his supplier or his clients need as far as supply. We meet several different characters throughout that time. We meet people who do the breeding. We meet people who get humans and hunt them for sport and entertainment. And we meet people who buy humans to experiment on them, all for the greater good. And throughout this process, it's torture porn. Throughout the whole book, we see these different things. And we are just told the many ways that the human body is dismantled and destroyed in order to provide human meat. There's a description in the breeding, I guess trigger warning here. There's a description in the breeding house where pregnant females have their arms and legs removed so that they can't kill their own babies. Yeah, it's torture. It's torture porn. It's disturbing to the point where you almost wonder, what are we talking about here? We're seeing all the ways human body is dismantled, the way they're grown, kept in cages, stunned, and then bled, all that good stuff. And so as we do that, we meet a guy who's not doing a particularly good job supplying Marcos's workplace with good head. They call just like they call cattle head, they refer to humans as head, plural, for what they are. And as a hey, sorry about that, he sends Marcos to his home a female woman. She's not referred to as a woman. She is referred to as a female. And the thing about this female is that she is grown naturally. She's genetically pure. She's FGP, and she's branded on her forehead, but she's FGP. F means something genetically pure, meaning that she was not given anything to make her grow more quickly. She's just a regular female. And he's angry about this. He doesn't know what to do about it. And he keeps her in his barn for a little while. Underneath all this, we have the backstory that Marcos and his wife had a son named Leo. He died suddenly. We can assume that this death was SIDS, which is, I think, sudden infant death syndrome. I should know this. Sudden infant death syndrome, meaning your child dies with no explanation. So he dies, and there's still a cot that he would have used to sleep on in his home. His wife Cecilia has left. Not permanently, but she just can't handle being in the house, so she's been gone for a long time now. So he's alone at the house. This female is dropped off. He puts it in his barn, trying to figure out what to do with her. He's told that he can slaughter her to eat her. He can sell her. She's worth a whole lot of money. All that good stuff. But it is illegal to enjoy, that is, sexually enjoy a female or any human head, any special meat. Can't do that. Which is not a thought we have initially, but eventually he does indeed begin to have a romantic relationship with this female. She can't speak. Her vocal cords are removed, just like all of the humans, to keep them from, speaking or screaming. So she can't speak. She behaves just like an animal would, but he does sleep with her, and she becomes pregnant. And he is very excited by this. He wants to have this child. This is his child. And so he hides the fact that this has been done. And Marcos keeps it a secret what he's done with this lady. He lets her live, or this female, he lets her live in the house. He makes the house safe for her. He still definitely treats her like an animal. But, he lets her live in the house, and she's pregnant. Eventually we get to 8 months. The whole time, he's also taking care of his father who has dementia. He eventually dies. Let's see, what else? Yeah, he eventually dies. There's a point where he dies. He goes to the nursing home. It's close to the end of the book. He goes to the nursing home, and they tell him that his father has passed. And the lady, his nurse, sorry, I'm getting a lot of noise from downstairs, but his nurse tells him that. She explains things in a funny way to him, and they plan the memorial service. His sister's kind of the worst. He tells his sister off eventually. We meet a bunch of gross, nasty people who are very much sold out to the idea that humans are meat. And then really by the end of the book, his female is giving birth. And up to this point, I think we're supposed to think that he loves this woman, kind of. But she gives birth. Or she's about to give birth. She's in labor. The amniotic fluid when her water breaks is green or discolored, so he knows from his wife being a nurse that that's not good. So he calls his wife and he's like, hey, I need you to get down here. I need you to help me with something. She's like, what the heck? He says, just trust me. So she comes down there. She finds this pregnant female giving birth in their bed. She freaks out for a little bit. Then, of course, her medical profession kicks in. She helps this baby be born. And the baby is born. He's a beautiful baby boy. And the very last thing in the book, the big twist ending, is that the main character, Marcos, looks at his wife and says, look what I did for us. This is our baby boy. This is our baby. And then he takes the female, which he's impregnated, and the book has convinced us he loves. He takes her, stuns her, kills her, and it's presumed that they eat her. It's whack. It's messed up. I know. The whack meter is absolutely off the scale in this book. But that's not why I don't like it. I think that story could have been told well, but I don't think this book tells it well. This book, the setting is unearned, in my opinion. The setting that within one generation, 30 years or so, humans have gone completely from a all men are created equal kind of vibe to some people are raised for cattle. That's not enough time. There's no amount of suspension of disbelief that I have, that I can produce, which will get me to believe that quickly there would be people lining up to hunt humans for sport, that there would be people who could cut the arms and legs off of a human being so that its gestation could be calmer. And not only do that, but do it not begrudgingly, to do it as though it's just commonplace, to do it as though that's just how things are now, to do it with the satisfaction of someone doing a job well. I just don't buy it. I don't buy there's enough time. It doesn't make sense to me. I think that if it's trying to say something about the human condition and what humans are capable of as far as evil, yes, humans are capable of great evil, but it seems like at rest, we do tend to be nice to each other. more than we are mean to each other. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I just don't buy it. I don't buy the setting. And even if I could buy it, I don't think she writes it well for me. Now, this book was written in Spanish originally. It may be the translation that falls short, but it's not written in an interesting way. It is not interesting to read. The sentences are flat. It's written with very little description. Its pacing is strange, and just the general literary writing style of it is just not. It doesn't do it for me. I don't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it really one bit. It's written in the present tense, which is also a no-no for me. It's fine if you like that. For some reason, something about the present tense for me makes it seem like the story is not something the author has a good grip on, that they're just it's kind of happening to the author the same way it's happening to me, the reader. I really prefer a past tense where I feel like I'm being told a story that has some sort of concrete nature to it. There's present tense is done well, I'm sure. It's just not my favorite thing. That ending for me was poorly set up. I don't think endings have to be telegraphed. I don't think they have to be something where you definitely know what's going to happen right before it happens, but I do like a twist ending. I love a good surprise, love a good mystery, love a good reveal. But I do think an ending should, when it happens, if it's a big surprise, you should be able to say, oh man, I should have seen that coming. There were little nuggets that kind of push me towards that if I look back in hindsight. This ending was a big surprise. The author makes it very almost crystal clear that this guy has a pretty serious attachment to this female. But in the end, I think she tries to convince you that he was using her the whole time to produce a child. That there's just nothing that made it seem that way. If you read it, you'll understand what I'm saying. That is an out of left field, completely, I think, unearned surprise ending. Let's see. When it comes to writing, another thing I didn't enjoy. When it comes to writing, there was really no natural way for me to get exposition. There was really no natural way for her to tell me why the world was the way it was. I think there were better ways that it could have been done. Instead of just having the character, she wrote the words "he thinks" a lot. The book starts with her saying like he thinks about how the transition started. Like, she wants to tell me why the world is the way it is, but the only way she has to do it is telling me that he's thinking about it for some reason. But it doesn't, unless he thinks about it every single day in the same way, it just doesn't, the way she gives it to me just doesn't make sense. Also, she uses characters to tell you things that she could have told you in a less ham-fisted type of way. When it comes to the funeral, the Marcos shows up and to tell the funeral or the nursing home people what to do with his father's body, and the funeral or the nursing home lady is explaining to him how funerals work, and she explains that, well, ambulances aren't used anymore, and this, that, and the other, and like he knows. He knows it's not the day that the transition happened. Like this is not new news to him, and it's just weird that she would tell him that. It was just very clear that that the author said, I need a character to tell the reader that we don't use ambulances anymore because of the way the world is and because of this reason and that reason. And it just, you could feel that. You could feel the author behind the character telling you something, and that really took me out of it. So, all in all, I didn't like the book. I had heard good things about it from TikTok, which gives me the more I read books that are recommended to me by other book talkers, not always, there are some people that I really trust, but sometimes when I'm going to be a lot more wary of. I had to cut one more time because my phone died, but all I was saying was I will have to be more wary in the future of what recommendations I take as gospel and which ones I do not. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is all I have to say about Tender is the Flesh. Tender is not my opinions about this book. But thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please, of course, like, subscribe to the channel. If you're here from TikTok, thank you. If you're not from TikTok, I do more videos over there. And yeah, just let me know what you think about this and how I can improve. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.